I've got a thing going on, but it's much too strong just to let it go now. We gotta be extra careful, but we don't so high. Holding hands, making all kinds of plans, while the jukebox plays favorite song. Morning, guys. Hi. Got a new microphone today. Can you guys tell me if the sound is good? Can you hear me? Give me a thumbs up maybe, or something. Sounds great. Cool. Okay. Awesome stuff. We had 220 people live last week. Isn't that great? Crystal clear. Crystal clear. All good. Hope you guys are doing well. Surviving. Kind of feel a little bit lucky myself because I get to go to work. And we've been really busy online. So that's great. Holding hands, making all kind of plans. Loads of questions, guys. If you want to ask me anything later, or maybe send it into my WhatsApp if you want to do that. Let me see if I can put the number. Let me see if I can put the number here for my own WhatsApp, and you can send me morning Trish 087. So that's my mobile, and you can send me questions there, and I can pull them up on WhatsApp on the desktop, and then I can answer them. So that'll work pretty good. Anybody wants to ask me questions? I have some questions already from people that sent me in during the week and yesterday. So this will be fun. We're still a bit early. We'll wait for a few people to come on. Probably go around 9:09. I recognise a lot of names, guys, who have bought online, which is really great. We're really, delighted with the support. Some loads of little selection boxes going out. People buying, 3 or 4 different types of coffee, and for those of you who have bought, that we give out a few free samples as well. So on any given order, you're likely going to have 3 different coffees arriving in the post. I think I need to get a bit of water. Coffee will have to do. So if you ordered Brazil, let's say, you'll probably get 2 samples of maybe Indonesia and maybe an Ethiopian. So we try and spread it across the globe to give you some variety in terms of flavour that you get. So that really works. And then, of course, if you order 2 or 3 bags, you'll get a couple of extra samples. So you could have half dozen coffees in your box when it arrives to you. And we did have a few delays early on around the DPD deliveries. 3 to 5 days. They were prioritising medical supplies. So I guess that's reasonable enough. But the deliveries seem to be happening pretty quick, like every 2 days now. We're sending out every day. We're trying to send stuff out. If we get all the orders on Monday, we'll send them out on Tuesday. Sometimes we'll get the orders up until 12 o'clock on a Tuesday, sent out on a Tuesday as well. So you could get lucky. And then anything that we've received up until yesterday at 12 o'clock went out yesterday as well. So same kind of idea. So we're sending them out. If you can read my writing, I'm putting a little personalised note. I'm trying to at least into every box to thank you for your support. So that's really, it really is appreciated. So thanks for ordering online. Still a little bit early. I think I'll wait till 5 past. Yeah, because it says 9 o'clock. So I'll just wait at that. But anyway, thank you to those who have sent me in a few questions, and I have answers here. And some questions are not related to the Clever Dripper, and that's okay. I'll answer as many questions as I can. Of course, happy to answer questions and talk coffee anytime. Let me see what my setup looks like here. You don't need to see all this, but you need to see this stuff, which is where I'm going to brew. I tried doing a post last week. So a couple of things I learned from last week. I didn't save the Instagram live, so I'm going to try and find a way of scraping it off our content and doing the Instagram live, and also replaying it on YouTube. So I'll put the videos up there. But it is in our highlights, and it's on our Instagram live channel. So you can watch last week's brew there, which was the V60. This guy. Which is really cool. But yeah, a couple of things to learn from last week. So I'm going to try and save this one, and you can watch it then on YouTube, or other people can watch it and get answers to the questions. So I'm smiling because I see some names that are familiar and I want to slag people, but I can't single out any individual and slag them off like you, Paul. But good morning to everyone. Coffee Laboratory. Oh, wow, Alan Giriada. So guys, there's someone interesting for you to follow. Alan Giriada, he's live with us here today. Great guy, great, super informative. Knows so much about coffee, like so much. I'd love to know how much he knows about coffee. One of the questions I had during the week was, good question. How did I learn how to roast coffee? So I started off roasting coffee with the Coffee Roasters Guild maybe 5 or 6 years ago, but 5 years prior to that we had outsourced our coffee roasting to a third-party roaster. So we were working closely with a roaster for years, and I knew a little bit about roasting. I suppose it's a bit like being in a kitchen and watching someone cook, but unless you do it yourself. So we're kind of on this flat curve, to coin a phrase, of learning how to roast all the time, because all the coffees are different, and trying to manipulate flavour and generate flavours out of the coffees it's really tricky. Actually, it's really tricky. Just ask Thomas. So Thomas is our roaster. I'll tag him in loads of posts as we go. But it's really tricky, and I wasted an awful lot of money at this very start trying to figure out how to roast coffee and trying to develop flavours, and we did an awful lot wrong. But we're getting better, and certainly your feedback in terms of the qualities that you enjoy out of the coffees that we roast and send to you. We're getting such good feedback. I'm delighted with that. Some people have different preferences, and that's the way coffee is. It's there's no one size that fits all. That's why we have a range of coffees on offer at the coffee bar, and we do something that no other cafe in the country does, which is offer you, when you can visit, that is 6, 7, sometimes 8 different single origin coffees, because some people like a lighter coffee and some people like a fruity black currant, blackberry, dark stone fruit coffee, and some people like an acidic orangey type clean simple cup. So loads of different varieties and styles of coffee that people like to have. 1 minute past 9, so good, we've started. So today I'm going to brew what is called a Clever Dripper. Okay, that's this guy here, and it's a really simple piece of kit. Lid on the top, put your coffee in here with a filter paper, put your lid on, and there's a trapdoor on the bottom, and when you press the trapdoor, everything gets released out. And I'll tell you why I love this. So last week we were brewing a V60, which is this guy. You place your V60 on top of your glass, put your paper filter inside, and you have to stand there and pour every 30 seconds. And that's a really nice thing to do. It's kind of therapeutic because you're working the coffee and you're looking at how it flows, and you've got every 30 seconds you're pouring a little bit, or you can do it in thirds, which is how I poured it last week. But you've got to watch it. And so people had asked me, is there an easier way? How do I make instant coffee, for example? So how do you make instant coffee? Like, we don't serve instant coffee. Instant coffee is basically coffee that has been brewed, dehydrated, dried out, and then you have to reconstitute it by adding water to it, just like a stock cube or something. So the closest thing we can offer you to upgrade to to upgrade you to, like, away from instant coffee and on to better coffee would be something like a clever dripper or a French press. Like, we sell 60 to 70% of the coffee that we brew or that we sell in online orders goes out and it's ground for French press, and we're happy to do that. Grind the coffee up, it's fresh, comes off the roast, we rest it for 10 or 20 days depending on the coffee variety, and then we'll grind it up French press for you. So French press is really easy. You put the coffee into your French press, add the water, leave it for 2.5 minutes after some agitation, and then you pour it off. So the difference with the French press and this is that once you finish brewing the coffee, you draw off the coffee away from the ground coffee that's inside here, this container, which means that you don't have any continuous cooking. So that's why I love the Clever Dripper. You can also just leave it there for 2 or 3 minutes and let it brew away. I suppose the danger with that is that you'll forget about it because you're not standing over it, but it is handy. So that's why I like the Clever Dripper. This Clever Dripper, it's 25 quid, right? Great value. They bounce, they break, they're plastic, they're quite hardy. I've one here for years somewhere, and yeah, I broke the foot off it, but other than that, it works fine. And you can throw them in the dishwasher. They're really cool to use. So in terms of kit, I know people are asking me, what can I do for a home kit? Should I buy a coffee machine? I think buying a pod machine or any kind of coffee machine for under €2,000 is a complete waste of your money. You can buy an espresso machines for 100 quid in Harvey Norman's, or some kind of like Lavazza pod machine for 60 quid. They're completely disposable. They're not made to last. And I get it. They're totally convenient. And I really think there's a point in convenience. And I suppose that's the difference in terms of what you're looking for. On a retail street side, we look at coffee shops in terms of, are they retail convenience or are they experience? And what we do in Bird Hill is definitely like an experience. But if you're in the middle of Limerick City, it's about convenience. You want to go get the best coffee that you can get as quickly as possible and get out of there. So at home, what you want to brew? Do you want to brew something that's convenient, which is a pod, and that's grand. There's no mess, no fuss. That's easy. But those machines are going to die after a year, so there's no point spending any more than 100 quid on one of those machines. They'll just die. Or you can do something like this and just buy a Clever Dripper. It's 30 quid. It's 25 quid for this, and a packet of filter papers will cost you 6 quid. It's very environmentally friendly. You recycle the filter papers or you compost them with the coffee inside. It's very clean, really easy to do, very easy to clean up, much cleaner than a French press. So that's why I like the Clever Dripper. 25 quid online. Again, I'll do a post, tag the kit, and you can buy it. 25 quid for this, 6 quid for 100 filter papers, bag of coffee. Today I'm brewing, this is our Nordic roast, so if you can see that. It's a Nordic roast of Guji. I brewed Guji last week, and this is a Nordic roast. So in food parlance, this is, if most of the coffees that we roast would be medium in terms of their cooking style, this is a medium rare version of the coffee beans. It's a slightly shorter cooking time, sometimes a slightly higher charge temperature, sometimes a slightly higher end temperature. Charge temperature is the temperature we start at, but there's a slight variation in how we cook the beans, which gives it a more delicate flavour. And for people who like lighter coffees, Nordic style of roasting is one of the most popular coffees that we sell. We sell a range of coffees, but the Nordic style is is a lighter roast and much more delicate, much more floral in terms of the flavours, and you won't have this massive, big, rich mouthfeel. Now, if you want that big, rich mouthfeel, go Brazil, go Indonesia, which is really tasty at the moment, or something like those Sumatran coffees. Or even our Kenyan at the moment has got a lovely, rich mouthfeel that you can draw off, depending on your brew type. But for a Nordic roast of Guji, or any of the Nordic roasts that we do, and for this brew method, for the Clever Dripper, or for the Kalita. Now, somebody asked me about this during the week, so I'm kind of answering questions on the fly here as well. This is a Kalita brewer. I love this. This is really cool. It's a bit like the V60, but you'll see a slightly wider cone, and the base actually is flatter, whereas the V60 just runs through. So that's your V60, and that's your Kalita. Now, loads of people have opinion on coffee, and I'm okay with that, and I'm happy to be told that I'm wrong every now and again. I'm sure one or two people will correct me, but it's very subjective and it's all about taste. I think Kalita gives you a really clean cup of coffee. Clean means tastes are very delicate and you can pick out like individual flavours. And the mouthfeel, so that richness, that body that you get, the layer of fattiness, I suppose, in your mouth is less obvious with a Kalita than it is with something like a V60 or a French press, because they're just lighter and more delicate. So Kalita is really, 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 really cool if you like lighter, more delicate coffees, or you want to drink coffee in the afternoon. That's what I would go with. But anyway, back to Clever Dripper, right? So who's a Clever Dripper? I'm going to show you how to use this. It's very, very straightforward. As I say, you need boiled water. So I've got my kettle here on the boil. If you can see that, let me see if I can tilt a little bit. Yeah, okay, so this is holding at 94 degrees, right? So I can brew here, hold this water at 94 degrees for as long as I need it to with this kettle. I think these are about 100 quid or something ridiculous for a kettle, but anyway, but they're very useful. And the spout is what makes it great. Not necessarily for a Clever Dripper, but for if you're pouring a V60 or maybe a Chemex, which I'll also do. I was asked about a Chemex last night by Amy, I think. So I'll show you how to use that. So onto this. So the process for these is the same essentially all the time. You're going to preheat. You're going to preheat everything, your filter paper, and then you're going to grind your coffee. So on the Clever Dripper, handy tip, up to these lines here, if you fill to the top of these lines, it's 400 grams of water, okay? And you'll know from last week that we're using a ratio of 6 grams of coffee for every 100 grams of water. So we're going to go with 24 grams of coffee into this. So I'm going to preheat everything. You can just pour it straight in. So the trapdoor on the bottom means that nothing's going to go anywhere. So that's just filled with water. Just let that heat up. While that's heating up, I'm going to grind my coffee. So as I said, I've got a grinder here. Let me see if I can make some space. Show you this. So, Virtuoso grinder. This guy's, I think about 200 quid. You can get some really cool grinders, but you know, if you're going to invest in kit, you don't need to buy a grinder. We'll send you out the coffee ground. On the back of the bag, there's a Ziploc. So coffee's ground and it's Ziplocked and it's airtight. You could put that inside a freezer bag, dump it in the freezer, but you could put it into a freezer bag, Ziplock it again if you want to be super conscientious about it. But Virtuoso grinder, very handy. So I use this at home. I'm going to put 24 grams in. And the little scales then that I use is this guy. So again, 25 quid. You could use the Salter scales. The thing with the scales is that you need to be quite precise with coffee. So this scales gives you a decimal point, so to the decimal. So it'd be 18.5 grams or 24.5 grams, whatever you want. So it's very handy for espresso. You could use the Salter scales or something to the gram if you're doing brews as opposed to espresso extraction. So they're handy, a scales is handy. If you don't have a scales. Thanks, yeah, so good question. What do I do if I don't have scales? So use a dessert spoon. A heaped dessert spoon is about 10 grams. So 2.5 of those, and you'll be close enough. If you think it tastes too strong or doesn't taste strong enough, add another half spoon or take a half spoon away, but only change one thing at a time. So change either the amount of coffee you put in, or the amount of water, or the amount of time that the water is in contact with the beans. So all of these parameters affect what's going to happen. So back to my coffee. So 24 grams. I'm going to make this fairly coarse. So again, kind of like sea salt or a little bit finer than that. Blades on. So I like to run the blades in my grinder before I put the coffee in. Blades are running, and when they get up to full speed, then you've got a better chance of all the pieces being uniform. If you put your beans in and then start your blades, you do have this delay, I suppose. It's only a couple of seconds, or maybe even 1 second, but you have this delay of the blades getting up to full speed and then not doing the work that you need to do. So I'm going to just get rid of the preheating here. It's my cocktail shaker. Comes in handy for breakfast. Okay. So that's empty. In with my ground coffee. So, again, this comes down to preference in terms of flavour, okay, and what you're trying to get out of the coffee, and all the coffees are going to be different. So it is a little bit of trial and error, sometimes. But this smells nice. This Guji is, it's one of my favourite coffees, as you probably know, and that's why we named the Nina shop after it, but it just smells of blueberries. It's amazing. It really is, like, on the nose, it's unreal. So allow me to get excited about Guji for a second. And this one I brewed about 8:30. So it's actually a bit over extracted. So I've changed my grind here. Over extracted means I've taken too much flavour out of it. I might have left it there for too long, or I could have had the grind size wrong, I don't know. But it's trial and error. But the best part that you'll enjoy about coffee when you're brewing like this is actually getting all the flavours out of the coffee as it cools down. And that's where the fun is. You'll get a hit, because it's quite hot, because you're drinking it straight from the kettle, more or less. But when you let it cool, that's when the flavours are at their absolute best. So I've my ground coffee in here. My kettle's at 94, okay, and I'm going to just I can let's see if I can do this. Bring you down here, maybe a little bit. Yeah. So I'm just going to add in about 50 grams. Okay, now. Actually weighing all this, right? So a little tip, if your weighing scales isn't big enough, use the tray or something to give you the space that you need to get your weighing scales. So 50 grams in there to start. That's just going to, 50 grams is just going to soak the ground coffee, let it expand a little bit and bloom, and then I'm going to add and bring it up to 400. So this line here is going to be 400 grams. I know that because I've done this loads of times. And this is the great thing about the Clever Dripper. So add in water, pour it in, just bring it all the way up to the top. Okay, that's our 400. And then put your lid on. That's it. I'm going to start my timer. Where's that? I'm going to brew this for 3 minutes. Now, while that's brewing, I'm going to answer some of the questions that you guys had during the week. So let's see if I can. What do I need to answer here? Okay, so contentious one. What's my opinion on large scale coffee companies like Starbucks, Costa, etc.? I think we need bottom feeders in every market, and then you need people at the top, and people then can understand the variation in terms of coffee styles. I think in terms of coffee quality, on a social level, I think what Starbucks and Costa do, which is super important for younger people, is provide a social outlet that's alcohol free, and I'm all on for that. My daughter goes to Costa. Sirin and I'm sure Callum will be going to Costa soon. They go for whatever, a shake or something, and I'd much rather that's the environment that they're hanging out in than thinking that they need to, go drinking. So from that point of view, I also think that they, my personal opinion is we've done a lot of work on both. In terms of consulting, is that Costa is a better offering. I don't necessarily agree with their the style of pricing and the style of quality that they offer, but that's a conversation around sustainability, and what we do is something completely different. So I think it's important in every market to have people that offer a fairly rudimentary offering, and then you've people like us who offer something at the top end, and then people can decide which one they want to go for. Will you ever do a how to brew a mocha pot? Can never get it right. Yes, I've mocha pots arriving today, so I'm going to do a mocha pot. May not be next week, but keep an eye out, and I might just do a short story on it. But next week I'll be doing Kalita. Can never get it right, like the brew ratio for a beginner. I'll do that for you, Claire. I might try and do an Instagram live on that. How are I doing for time before I wrap it on? 2 minutes. I have 1 minute left. Wow, time goes so fast, lads. Will you be ever getting any Blue Mountain? I don't know, alcohol. It's super expensive. We're already spending about €12 a kilo. But I'll get Thomas on the case, and if it can fit into his pallet price, he might have to compromise something else. We might get him for Christmas. Last year we got in Rwanda, Hue Mountain, and it was super expensive for Christmas. But we might get 30 kilos of Blue Mountain and have a go of it. I have a great experience with Blue Mountain, and Sebastian, great friend of mine from Germany, and one of my best experiences with Blue Mountain, tasting it. Any advice on which coffee to order? I like nice, smooth coffee, not bitter, thanks. Oh, so Dana Madigan. So here's the thing with our coffees. I don't expect them to be bitter, because we're roasting them to medium. So I'm 3 minutes in here. I'm just going to draw this off. So this is all you do, look. So simple. So I don't expect any of our coffees to be bitter. If our coffees are tasting bitter, that means they've been over extracted typically, because they haven't been over roasted. We roast profile everything. We brew everything that we roast goes on the bar, and we taste them every day. So I'm not saying it's impossible, but it's highly unlikely that you'll get a bitter tasting coffee from us. Bitterness is not a pinch of bitterness is not a bad thing. It's a bit like salt and pepper in your soup, or a dash of soy sauce if you're making a stock. You need umami in everything that you do. So we try and bring the coffees to a point. So when you're roasting, you cook the coffees on this kind of trajectory where you can release different flavors at different times. So fruitiness, acidity, body, right? And as you go up the scale, as you go up the curve, when you get to the top of that curve, there's bitterness that comes out, and you might want a pinch of that. There's no harm to balance out everything else. But overall, you want to try and find a balanced cup. So if you like something rich and strong, I would go with so rich and strong being a bit of a misnomer. But if you like something rich, I would go with Brazil or Indonesia at the moment, and then Kenya, in that order. If you want something lighter, but still loads of flavour in it, I would go Honduras. So they're all kind of rich and not bitter on that scale. So, I'm brewed. That's it. That's your clever dripper. How easy is that? You just take out then your paper, throw it in the composter, rinse out your clever dripper, and that's your coffee made. And I just think it's so easy. So I started off with 400 grams of water, so I've probably 350 here, which is easily a mug of coffee. So it's going to be 2 mugs of this Gucci cup. course, I have to have a Gucci cup because I'm drinking Gucci. But this is really, really simple. So back to your questions. So that's what coffee I'd recommend. Let's see. Is my barber still open? No, Letizia, I don't. But look, this is the secret, right? It's dry shampoo. Don't tell anyone that. Okay. Who else? Any advice? How long will it take you to learn to roast? Oh, that was Thomas. Sorry, I answered that. Yeah. Is there any collection service, or is it solely deliveries? Oh yeah, you can click and collect from the roastery. Now, the thing with click and collect is we're not there all day till 6 or 7 o'clock. We're only there till like some days 4. Now I'm up and down the road, but we are there most days from 8 a.m. or 7 a.m. So if you're clicking and collecting, what we have done so far is we give you a call when it's ready, and then we let you know when we'll be there. Do go out to the farms that you source from? Yes, we have been out to the farms. So between the team, we've been to Indonesia, Java, Sumatra, Ethiopia, Guatemala, Honduras. Having said that, and to answer your question honestly, Mark, we can't possibly visit every single coffee that we want to buy from, because as the season rolls on and as we buy coffees, we run out of some coffees from some areas, and then we might want to fill a gap. So currently we started buying from Peru. Now we've bought the coffee, we haven't roasted it yet. We haven't been to that farm, but I've taken it on a good recommendation from friends in the industry. So somebody like Ferg at Roasted Brown, or partners of ours over in Volcano Coffee or Boca Coffee in Amsterdam. We talk to all of our mates. We'll only buy specialty coffee, so that's something that's super important to me, that we only buy specialty. And we might take the coffee on and use it. The thing with the coffee farmers is that their harvests change from year to year. So we might buy, like the very first farm that I bought from, Finca Soledad, in Guatemala. That coffee was Cup of Excellence coffee and specialty coffee, and has been for years. But it won Cup of Excellence back in, I think, 2016 or 2009. And we have bought some coffees some years and not others. So these are kind of long-term relationships that we're building up. My first coffee farm visit was 2013, so nearly 8 years ago. That was Guatemala, Honduras 15, Ethiopia. Trish went to Indonesia, 17, and Sumatra. So yeah, we try and visit them, but it's not possible all the time. So we have really good brokers in the UK. They also help us source. How to make coffee with a French press? I've absolutely no idea. Okay, so Persephone, it's very similar to Clever Dripper. The only difference with the French press is that you've more agitation at the start. Again, we do sell the weighing scales. I'll answer that quickly. I'll do another French press video. With the French press, put in your ground coffee, pour in the water and agitate it loads. Leave it rest for 2.5 minutes. I think that's the biggest thing. Oh, and we haven't got a brewing card. So what I'll do is I'll post up the brew card so people can see how you brew, and that'll answer that question for you. How to make a latte, when to introduce coffee to foaming milk. So Clove, I'm not so sure how to make a latte. A latte is basically for us a double shot of espresso and textured milk on top at 60 degrees, maybe 65 degrees, 70 degrees if you want it really hot. People ask for extra hot coffee or extra hot milk. Like, you know, there's massive difference in 5 degrees of heat or 10 degrees of heat. So we try and, in the main, serve milk-based drinks at 65 and then heat them up to 70 degrees if somebody wants the milk extra hot. Like 5 degrees is massive. If it's 12 degrees today, we're in cardigans or jumpers. If it's 17 degrees, we're in t-shirts. So coffee heat or milk heat is very important. You won't believe who French press and the thing for the hob. Yeah, so as I said, I'll do both of them over the next week. How to make a flat white again. So flat white for Laura and Chloe in regards to latte. So they both start with the same base ingredient, which is a double shot of coffee. And this is like it's like alcohol. So it's like having a double shot of vodka, and then you dilute the flavor with either a small amount of milk, which would be a flat white. So in our case, we use a 6 ounce cup. So you'd be getting an ounce of coffee and 5 ounces of milk, or a latte where we're serving 10 ounces. So it's an ounce of coffee and 9 ounces of milk. If you're having an espresso, it's an ounce of coffee or something like that. You basically dilute it to what you like in terms of intensity, flavour, depending, of course, on the coffee. I like, Laura's parents like a single shot Colombian cappuccino, and that's their go-to, but they don't like too much strength, but they like the flavour of coffee through milk. And when you're drinking instant coffee at home, so loads of people have been on to us about instant coffee and how do they make instant coffee at home with our coffee. So instant coffee, we don't have it. We do have as close to instant as you get. So if you're prepared to wait 3 minutes instead of immediately having your coffee ready, and it's boiling anyway, so and it's it's pretty shit coffee. Like it's basically the cheapest coffee you can buy, roasted really dark. They add sugar to it and then they dehydrate it. Like if that's what you want to drink, fill your boots. We rather go to the source and buy nice coffees. Thoughts on coffee vans? Coffee vans are hard work, I tell you that. You've a day's prep getting there. Insurance is expensive. All your kit bounces around in the back of the van. All your parts become loose. You spend more money on maintenance. You need to be making a lot of money in a coffee van. You need to have a really good pitch. And to make 500 quid, you'll do that on your own. Maybe 700 quid, you'll do that on your own. But to do anything more than that, you need 2 people on the bar. One taking money, one doing drinks and milk. And if you've got 2 people working for you, that's 300 quid you're going to spend in labour if you value yourself at minimum wage, at least. And if you're spending 300 quid in labour, you've got to take $1,000. So if you've got to take $1,000 in a coffee van, that's 300 to 400 coffees. So then you need to figure out what am I selling as well as coffee. So you have to have a coffee and coffee on its own is never ever enough. It's never enough. So you need to have coffee and you need to get your spend up, and that's the whole goal with doing something like a coffee van, which means you may need to be buying perishable goods and cakes and stuff, and then you're looking at waste. So they're hard work. They are hard work. You see lots of them for sale on Dundeel, and there's a reason. Go to a bricks and mortar shop if you can. A small unit, our unit in Gucci is less than 500 square foot, and that's a much better investment, and buy something that was a phone shop, or at least the walls are finished and they have electrical supplies, and you can literally pop up a coffee machine on the counter and keep investing in it. Best way to descale an espresso machine. I'm assuming you're talking about a trade machine. You can buy a descaler. You need to drain your tank, fill it with descaler, let it rest for a day. If you're competent doing that, that's a big job. Or give it to someone like MRS and they'll do it for €1,000. Sounds like a lot of money, but if you break something trying to do it yourself and don't know how to drain your machine properly, you'll do more damage than good. And they'll do a proper job and they'll warranty it. What do you think is the best way to make espresso at home? AeroPress. I'm going to show you how to do AeroPress. I think. Oh, thank you. I'm covering the mic. Is that any better? Can you hear me now? Let's see. Just check that, guys. I was told I'm covering the mic, and I'm glad you enjoyed the Indonesia. Thanks for sending me in that comment. Best way to make an espresso machine. Oh, great. Best way to make an espresso is going to be AeroPress. Oh man, I better go back. So I don't know where I stopped answering questions there with the mic. Right. Okay. So best way to make espresso at home is going to be AeroPress or a mocha pot. I'll do both over the next couple of weeks. I might have to improve the intensity of the podcasts or whatever these are called now. But yeah, I'll do an AeroPress next week and show you how to make espresso at home. Look, the bottom line is, unless you're going to invest in a $2 or $3 grand or a $4 grand espresso machine for home, you're never going to be able to replicate what coffee shops do. So the Italians have a solution for this, mocha pots. I'll show you how to brew on a mocha pot over the next couple of weeks. They're really cool. Have you tried a fellow Prismo? No, I haven't. But happy for you to tell me all about it being delivered. Send me links. Happy to learn more. the problem with coffee is there's always so much to learn. It's just relentless. You think that you've made some progress and you know something about coffee, and then you know someone shows you a different way. What else have I got? So somebody, I don't know if you heard me then, is there a collection service from Bird Hill? You can click and collect. When your order's ready, we'll give you a call and then we'll tell you when you can collect that day or the day after. Do I use an EK43 ahead of Mythos, and why in terms of grind consistency? Okay, so on our bar, so I'll answer that in two parts. So in terms of Bird Hill, on our bar we have, if you look at my Insta story from yesterday, it might still be there. We pre-portion all of our coffees, so we have 8 beans on offer at any one time, usually 6 different origins, usually a decaf, and then there'll be 1 or 2 origins in the back that we've roasted that we mightn't have put on the bar yet. We're just waiting for content, like cards or information. Oh yeah, I have to talk about cards. So we use an EK43 on our bar in Bird Hill, and the reason is because we have all these pre-portioned pots and we need to adjust the grind for every single one of them, and the EK works well for that. Do I like it in terms of grind consistency? Absolutely. You get much more flavour out of an EK43 over a Mythos. That's my personal opinion. And the reason you get better grind consistency, I think, is because the blades are vertical, and also the blades are running when you're grinding the coffee through. So we have a little trapdoor, or we remove the trapdoor, we turn the blades on and we let the coffee go straight through. It grinds in about 1.5 seconds. It's super fast. But I also love the theatre of it, and I think that's really important for what we do in Bird Hill. We use an EK43 in Bird Hill. We use a Mythos in Guji, and if we're doing an event, we use Mythos grinders. They are super consistent. In terms of flavour to the customer, they're not going to taste the difference unless maybe you're brewing. But in terms of speed, efficiency and consistency and no adjustments, Mythos grinders are the best that I've come across. The Mythos one is the best I've come across in the market, like without fail. We have K30s, they get clogged up, they can't handle the volume. I have Anfim grinders, manual Anfim grinders, which I also love. Super soft flavours coming out of an Anfim. But if I was opening a coffee shop tomorrow, and if you ask me would I buy a new machine or a new grinder, I buy a new grinder and a second-hand machine. It's a much better investment. Sage Barista Pro, I think, is what they're called. They're about €1,800, well worth buying, but don't dare put regular tap water into it. You got to buy filtered water from Tesco or somewhere. You know, buy purified water. Yeah, BK for the win. So yeah, Sage Barista Pro. As I said before, there's no point spending anything less than, spend less than 100 quid on a little a pod machine for convenience if that's what you need to get out of the house in the morning, because you're not going to spend 5 minutes grinding coffee and making a clever dripper. But yeah, so they're pure convenience models. On the weekends, brew your coffee in a clever dripper maybe, or a V60. It's really nice, and you'll get loads of flavour as the coffee cools. That's why I'm not even drinking this yet. I love it when it gets down to about 50 degrees, 40 degrees, and you get all these fruit flavours out. Love your clever dripper. Yeah, thanks. They are really smooth, and it's foolproof, so I love them. That and a V60. And if you wanted, a little bit more richness in it, you can change the grind or leave it in contact with the water for longer. That's going to change the flavour. So that's the fun part of the coffee. Let's see. Yeah, I think that's all the questions I had there. Yeah. Good morning, Maura. I see you there. So yeah, Sage Barista, they seem the best ones. Now let's see. Do you use EK? There's loads of questions. Have we tried a fellow Prisma? Okay, God lads, I have loads of questions here. Hang on a second. I'll try and catch up. So also want to let you know that if you haven't yet bought anything online for the whole month of April, we're giving away a year's subscription, 1 a week for the next 4 weeks. So all you have to do is buy online through our wholesale store, online store, order coffee, we'll deliver it out you'll be automatically entered into a draw, and we're going to pick out one winner a week for the month of April during the lockdown, and you will win a kilo of coffee a month for 12 months. Really cool. I think that's. Oh, there was one more question there. Oh, see, do you have? Shall I call it a kit? You know, a small selection of each of the coffees we would buy and taste to discover. Yeah, we do have, Suan. So what we have is you can either buy samples, which are 30-gram samples, 3 of those for £5, or 1 for £2. Or you can buy, I think we have 4 kits on the website. There's like a busy brewer, there's the Barista Pro or something, and they range from 25 quid up to 99. And yeah, so there's loads of coffees. So if you were to buy, as I said at the start, the top, if you were to buy coffee at 2 small bags of coffee, you'll get 2 samples as well, so you'll end up with 4 coffees to choose from. Okay, I think that's it, guys. Any more questions? Do you go out to the farms? Yeah, that's it. I think I've answered you all, guys. So that's it. That's the end of me for today. Thanks so much for joining in and being a part of the show. And I hope you enjoyed a Clever Dripper. It's really cool. As I said, I'm nearly finished this one. I have another mug to go here, which is what I like about these. Now, unlike last week, so the V60 has a little bit more volume in it, so you might get 2 mugs for 2 people, and then next week I'm going to do the Kelita. So guys, have a great day. I'm going back to work, yeah, sun is out, so you might get a bit of sunshine as well. Take care. Bye.